Perfect. Well, I appreciate everybody that's jumping on. It's Thursday. It's one of our beautiful, exciting meetups, right? The community meetups are an exciting and energizing and empowering and collaborative moment, right? It's collaborative. This is for the community, and it's for members of the community that are really sharing stories and inspiration. We try to do these multiple times a month, and we have check-ins. Thank you to everybody in the community that is here now and present with us and committed to just being part of the conversation. And then thank you to those that are going to listen to this later, right? Because sometimes you can't make it. Sometimes business has to happen. Sometimes we're on the other side of the world, like Johnny, and times just don't line up. But we're here for you, and we're glad that you're here with us. Johnny, you've been at this for a little while, and you've transitioned across the world, and you know how this works. But one of the things we always like to do to everybody that's chiming in today and kind of joining us, we like to have everybody that's committed to being here and present introduce themselves. The community is a lot like a wave, right? The more momentum we gather together, the more we rise the tide. We get to ride that wave together. So that's the theme right now. We've been really talking about this digital nomad life and making business happen. Johnny, I'm so glad you're here with us today. Everybody's going to introduce themselves. My name's Adam Griggs. I'm the moderator. I am so privileged to be participating and leading this conversation, and I just love being connected to you guys. And I am very excited. So thank you so much for joining us. Rachel, I will turn it over to you, and then Jonathan.
Yeah, good morning. I'm going to say good morning because it's still my morning. Everybody, really, I'm Rachel McCool from GoDaddy. Super happy always to gather our group together, and even more so hearing from Johnny, who has just a wonderful story, and just so happy, Johnny, that you are joining us from a different time zone and a different country. So thank you so much. I'll ping it over to Jonathan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jonathan, and I'm also on the GoDaddy team. I work on the social media team, as well as work with Rachel and others on the community effort. Always excited to hear from Johnny. I'm so glad you changed your background. I wasn't sure where I was, and now I've been fully transported. So thank you for that. I do look forward to that every time. I also love the continuation of this. It's so exciting to obviously to hear from new people and to meet new people, but to know that we get to keep up with our community members and really get follow-ups on how you're doing and projects we've talked about. I really am so excited to hear from you today, Johnny. And yeah, the siesta is real. The siesta is real, man. Enjoy it. Enjoy. Sorry, there's some obscure construction happening outside of my apartment today. I hope it's all good things. So I apologize if weird sounds come from me when I'm when I'm off mute. I'm gonna shout out Tina.
Hi everyone, I'm Tina. I'm also on the GoDaddy community team with Rachel and Elena and Jonathan. And I'm just so excited to hear more about your story, Johnny. I've heard bits and pieces and where you are, but I am excited to learn about what you do.
Hi, I see some people I haven't met before today, so that's exciting. I am also on the GoDaddy team with Rachel, Tina, and Jonathan, working on community experiences and events, which means we get to, meet people like you and create fun events and experiences. And I am excited to get to know you and hear all about your story.
Love it. Thank you so much to the GoDaddy team for being here and supporting these meetups. Really making sure that we have a safe and open environment in this community to really learn and grow with each other, right? And we have community members that are here each week on and off, and sometimes the audience changes. And we've got a few new faces. We've got a few people that have joined us over the past few weeks, and I'm just excited that you guys are here. So I'm going to actually turn it over to Susan first. Introduce yourself if you'd like, and then Gabrielle, and then Chris.
Thanks. Hello, I'm in Washington State. And it's a pleasure to be here today. I'm thrilled because I had a standing meeting at this time all the time. And so this is, I think, my third time. So I'm like, woohoo, I finally get to be with you all. So it's always fun to meet in person rather than type those words out. It's like, well, what do I mean by that? No. Anyway, fun to be with you all. And Johnny, I've been in Spain, and like Jonathan said, the siesta time is very real, and we experienced that as a family. Another story for another time, but I'm excited to hear what you have to share with us today. Thanks to, it's good to see you all.
Well, good morning or good afternoon. My name is Gabrielle Powell. I have a GoDaddy website. I'm a hypnotherapist and handwriting analyst here in Pensacola, Florida. And I think it's so cool that you offer these groups, these gatherings to learn more, because I need all the help I can get. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Chris J. Tolbert. I am the founder and CEO of Two Nation, a fitness wellness startup. I had the privilege of meeting Adam actually through this GoDaddy community, and am eager to share my story next week, in fact. So now I'm going to sit back and listen to Johnny. And it's just really great to see communities like this fostered, developed, and really being about the pursuit of excellence in support of fellow entrepreneurs. So thank you all.
Yeah, thank you to everybody for joining us today. And for those of you that are tuning in, as you can see, everybody comes from different walks of life, right? And that's why we have these meetups, to offer perspective, to offer challenges and obstacles and successes in the mix. Johnny and I were talking right before this call that business often is like an endurance run, and you got to wait for those perfect waves. And if you can make it happen long enough and you're ready for those moments, you ride those waves, right? And so that's part of the success. And that's why we're excited to hear from Johnny today. We get to hear about his transition, running his business, the culture of business, and just challenging himself to live his dream, which is moving all the way across the globe to Portugal. So Johnny, welcome, my friend. Talk to us about how it's going. How's life?
It's good. You know, I really feel blessed that I was thinking about, you know, how sometimes the expression that art or life imitates art. And I think in my case, it's almost like business has imitated my life. So I've kind of a little bit of flip on that expression, in that with the pandemic, as many people have experienced, the necessity to be flexible and rethink what, you know, running your business looks like, or working in general. I took it as an advantage to really push the virtual opportunities forward with my business. That was always, I think, my initial dream when I started my small business back in 2017. And the pandemic allowed me to accelerate that quite a bit. And so for me, many years ago, if you will, I always kind of thought of laying the groundwork for how could I, you know, run my business from anywhere, you know, on the globe, and put those controls in place and processes and everything, so that if ever I had the opportunity, that I could execute on that. And so this past April, after a lot of planning, probably 2 years of planning, to be honest, right at the beginning of the pandemic, I was really looking at how this could work, and by trial and error, learning what things were successful, what wasn't, in the sense of running a remote business or possibly being a digital nomad. And so far, so good. It's been running really well. I've actually gotten 2 of the largest opportunities for my business since I've been here in the last month and a half in Portugal. And a lot of that has been a result of, you know, a lot of those, you know, investments of my time and work, and again, endurance, because I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is that instead of waiting for your business to get to a point where you can have a life, it's better to have a life and let your business run around that. And I know it's a lot easier said than done, and it's not anything that I've perfected, but I think that's really been my motivation, to really be able to have a life and run a business at the same time. And being here in Portugal, where the culture is very different, talking about, you know, just, you know, simple, the siesta, where half of the, you know, the town does, you know, shut down from 3 to 7. It really promotes that work-life balance of, you know, taking time for yourself, and maybe it's taking a walk into town and things like that. So overall, it's been fantastic. I'm still kind of taking it in, because it hasn't even been 2 full months yet, but I love it.
Yeah, I love that. And Tina put it perfectly. You turned it into a pandemic, right? There's a couple things you touched on there. Like, what is real business? What does business look like these days? A lot has changed with so many people, with this hybrid environment, the availability to reach through and meet with new clients and new opportunities, no matter where you are. But I think it goes beyond that. One of the things you said was you were planning and dreaming about this opportunity whenever it would come up, right? And so preparation meets opportunity, that equals luck, right? So talk to us about dreams. Like, obviously you gave into the dream. I think a lot of us really are looking for that reason to dream again. And I'm not talking about living the dream of having a mortgage and going to work and paying your bills. We need to do that. And that's great. And I think that's fantastic. And I don't want to harp on that. But what about those that are being contrarian? Like, you decided to completely uproot your life and go to a different country to experience a new culture and immerse yourself. And that started with a dream. So how did you know when to give in to that dream and start planning?
Yeah, I think that, what's the expression that I like is that a goal without any dates. And this is, I'm thinking in Spanish actually, because it's an idiom that's in Spanish, but it translates the same. Basically, that if you don't have dates for a goal, all it is a dream. So in order to make your dreams into a reality, you have to make it something concrete. You have to write it down. It has to be something planned. And for me, that started from the beginning when I started my business. Having corporate experience in my previous career in finance was a big asset. I worked for a very large bank, international bank, actually out of the Netherlands. So I traveled a bit with them, and that got the bug in me, if you will, to continue that kind of international business mentality. But when I started my small business, I kind of carried that over. And it may seem silly to somebody seeing, in the beginning, it was just me. I didn't have a team. I didn't have a network, really. It was just me and my interpretation. And so to sit down and see, like, well, how can I do my workflow? And it's like, well, it's just you, Johnny. Someone might actually laugh at that. But I looked at it as, how can I replace myself tomorrow? And maybe that is with another interpreter or interpreters. And what other services can I add on to language access? And what would that look like? And it's so much easier to do that when it's just you than to wait until you have a demand that is greater than yourself. And now you're trying to build a team without a plan. It's backwards. So having the time to just do that when it was just me, I think, is actually the best thing I did, because then it was just a matter of waiting for the opportunities and then plugging in the plan and being able to scale, right? And again, that's somewhat of an oversimplification, but that really is the secret, is that, anyone who's been successful, I guarantee you, it wasn't just haphazardly. For the most part, those are individuals that had some type of vision and put pen to paper, and it probably sounded just as crazy as anyone else's idea, but then they were able to realize it. So I think this concept that people just overnight have an epiphany and it just works out, like winning the lottery, that really isn't the correct or realistic way of having business success.
Yeah, I love that that's your story. I love that you challenged yourself to be prepared. And we've talked at length a little bit about the endurance game in business. And oftentimes what we want in life, these dreams that we're chasing, and we've put timelines on it, they don't happen in the right time for us or what we think is the right time. And usually it's because we've got to gain that experience. We've got to gain that availability and maybe even new perspectives so we can even see that there's an opportunity, right? Because sometimes if you have your head down and you're up to the grindstone, you're not looking at opportunity. So we've been challenged these last few years to really open our eyes and see things in a new light. And it's kind of like, and I know we're being punny with Ride the Wave, but you're in a city that's known for having these massive waves. People who know how to ride waves can see them before they happen. They're ready for them, they've experienced it, and they know when to get up and when to catch those waves and when not to, right? When to sit back and take that time for yourself. So I love that that's your story, because you've really built on your experience and your perspective and your opportunity. And then you just did it. You set the plan in action and you made a stride and you did it. So I want to talk a little bit about how you're measuring that success now. Obviously, you've been doing this for a little while. So what is success for you? It's not in office hours, right? You're not checking in 9 to 5 here. And I know that you've got plans to make sure that you're immersed in the culture and experience people there. And obviously taking time for ourselves, that's another form of success. So for Johnny, how's it going for you and how are you measuring that success?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's a multifaceted question. I think from a business standpoint, I went from just interpreting from, you know, as a one-man show, if you will, to forming an agency in less than 5 years. You know, it'll be 5 years this summer that InterSys LLC was formed. And now we just don't do interpretation, we do document translation, GED tutoring. I am licensed to provide professional medical interpreter training, which I've done successfully from here in Portugal. And I have another trainer, and I will have more trainers that I will be adding to my team. And so this concept to me, I think, is just well beyond anything that I had really originally envisioned. It's really, I think, leaning into the opportunities as they present themselves and working to my strengths. And I think that's another, you know, great suggestion that anyone who's interested in starting a business, you know, work to your strengths. And I think that is really the key to success. In other words, I really enjoy what I do. I love teaching. I love how I'm able to connect with people. I love the fact that I'm able to employ people. That to me, I think, is from a business aspect. I believe it or not, I am just as happy paying my team than, you know, what I get in return. Like, granted, I don't want to be profitable and all of that, but there's a joy, especially during a pandemic, to be able to help people make ends meet, or, you know, fund them so that they can chase and pursue whatever their passion is. So I think all of those things check those boxes off for me. But I think it does come down to really finding what your strengths are and leaning into them so that you do enjoy what you're doing, because, you know, that's what's going to continue motivating you. When, you know, initially I was only teaching, you know, I would do classes for 4 people, and I did that for the longest time. And, you know, knowing that the way I teach 4 people really is the same exact way that I'm teaching now groups of 10 or more, right? And it was perfecting the craft of, you know, being able to, I enjoy telling stories, as you can see, and really being able to connect that with the industry that I'm in, which is professional language interpretation. So I think that if you do that fundamentally, where you're finding joy, even though it's not at the scale you want it to be today, or that your goal is, when you get there, it's going to be just as fulfilling, honestly. You know, my phone number hasn't changed. I stay connected with everyone that I've engaged with since I started my company. Even prior to starting my company, I'm just as available. And I think, to me, that is something that is key. Personally, now, I think success is being able to get up in the morning, look at a beautiful view, take a walk into town, which I do quite frequently, enjoy a fresh pastry, some espresso, and to be able to now learn another language, which is Portuguese, because I'm fluent in English and Spanish, but I'm getting close to being fluent in Portuguese, which I'll probably get there in the next 3 or 4 months. So if I get to that benchmark, I think that will check off my personal goal that I have here of being fluent in Portuguese in less than 6 months. So that's a little bit of both sides, but if I were to just stop today, I am satisfied. And so it's kind of like now really making the most of what I've been given and just continuing to pay it forward, really.
I love that. I think we're all very eager, and maybe it's just me. I might be a little bit jealous, but the story that you're sharing right now is fantastic. Your life sounds amazing, and what you've done to create that is amazing. And I love that you touched on validation as far as like hiring other people, right? There's a consensus right now that part of a successful business is the ability to pay a living wage, right? And what's a living wage? Having a lifestyle around work, so that life can exist and work can exist and you can enjoy what you do. And that starts with you, obviously, as an owner entrepreneur. You got to be able to pay yourself that. And that's really one of those moments that validates it. But when you bring in other people and your business starts to expand and you realize that there's this success that was waiting for you that you didn't know was waiting for you, that's validating. Like, that's more power to you, and kudos to you for getting to that point, first of all, and celebrating 5 years. That's a major milestone. I think that is fantastic, Johnny. And then you've done that and transitioned to being a world contributor, right? You're hiring from all over the world, you're working from different places, and you're really just immersing yourself in the experience of life. And I think so many of us want to experience life, right? Life is all about learning and experiencing and being part of something. And so I love that. And I love that you said your business expanded because you like to tell stories and you're in the language business. Because I'm reminded of Tolkien, right? He wrote The Lord of the Rings, not because of the story, but because of the language he loved that he created. And he wanted the language to be beautiful. And so he wrote a story around it. You're creating opportunity for people, and you share these stories because for you, those moments are beautiful. And I love that. And you can just tell in the way you share your story, Johnny, the way that you carry yourself, that you really enjoy what you do. And you really are finding this moment of success and satisfaction. And so thank you for sharing with us today a little bit about how you've gotten to where you are. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the past, right? So you didn't know that you were going to be an agency owner. You didn't know how far this was going to go. So let's talk about the unknown in business, right? Everything that is the fear that holds us all back. How do you overcome the fear of the unknown? You talked about leaning on your strengths, but what about trusting in your own abilities to learn and overcome that? Are there any other ways that we can overcome those fears?
I think the other point, and it's something I'm probably going to write on my next blog, is that I think that the hardest conversation is the one that we don't have. And what I mean by that is the conversation we put off. It could be with ourselves, right? A reflection of like, okay, you know what you have to do, but you kind of delay as much as possible. You kind of find other things to occupy that time. Or it could be a conversation you have to have with a business colleague or someone else, right? And I think that is the most difficult conversation. It's not so much that you get rejected. It could be a fear of rejection, but I think it's that fear of the unknown of, what if it doesn't work out? Or what if this person says this? Or what if I get rejected? When in reality, it's really on you to just initiate and overcome it. And I think it plays really well in business because I can tell you for a fact that I've gotten rejected so many times I've lost count, right? And so it's really getting over that trepidation of not having that difficult conversation and just have the conversation. I don't really go into any type of communication with someone, which I prefer be video or over the phone, because I really do feel like that's a dying art. I think email has its place. I do use it a lot, texting and all of that, but there's no substitution for having a conversation. And I think that unfortunately, because of that, it's a drawback for a lot of companies. And I try to coach and mentor other, entrepreneurs and business owners. I help other people with their businesses get going. And I continue to do that. And I think that one of the biggest weaknesses, is this fear of picking up the phone and talking to somebody, and whether it has to do with what's your price point, what is the cost of your service. Look, I went into business, and I always say this, and this is a fact, my first month in business, I billed $90. That was my first month when I was officially, my LLC, and, at the end of the month, and I was, believe it or not, content. And, I kind of probably mumbled it to my wife, like how much I made. But I knew it was going to be a rough first year or 2 years. I knew that. And my thought was, if someone was willing to pay me $90, then why not 9,000? And so it's really this, being able to push through and not hold yourself back. Because I never really go into a conversation, which is going to finish my thought that I had initially, with this person has to hire me or contract me. They have to do this. I really go into it thinking I'm going to glean just by the experience itself and don't have any type of high expectations. And if something comes out of that from a business side or a commercial opportunity, fantastic. But if it doesn't, if nothing else, this person is going to have a relationship with me and they're going to remember the way I spoke with them and what I do. And over time, I've reaped the benefits of that. And it has been a blessing, but you have to be patient. You have to have that hard conversation. Don't put it off. And, if you have that habit, there really isn't anything that will hold you back, because I think there's businesses out there that could be even more successful than mine. But probably the reason they haven't yet gotten to that point is because they're delaying having that conversation that they know is so difficult for them. And that is their biggest obstacle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I think one of the biggest obstacles, like you said, is vulnerability in that conversation on self-worth. Like, what do we believe is going to happen? So many of us have had arguments in our head with like situations that passed, right? And we're rehashing it and better outcomes and coulda, woulda, shouldas. We're also doing that in the future. And it's not so much about the fear of rejection, like you said. It's not just what if I fail, it's what if I don't? Can I rise to the occasion? I've never done this before. Am I able? Am I willing to show up? Am I ready to put myself out there, right? And so overcoming that fear, you have to trust in your ability to grow. Like you said, you're using the experience to grow and learn alongside it. And sometimes that's a very, very difficult conversation to have with yourself and with anybody else in the ecosystem. If you're going to be working with somebody new on a direction that's not something you've done before, and you're open to sharing that with them, well, that's a little bit disarming. That makes things a little bit easier for you, but it's a really hard conversation to have. You know, you can't really tell your clients, hey, I've never done this before. You still want to pay me, right? And one of the other points you touched on was that there was no difference in the exchange rate, the $90 versus $9,000. It's the mentality on what you think you're worth and how you can make that happen. If business has already become a success because you've challenged yourself and you've created client moments, then you can create greater moments, right? So I love that that's what you shared. I love your story, Johnny. Everything that you've shared so far with just dreaming and planning and captivating, you know, this moment with us and sharing your story and then taking it on, right? Riding that wave, moving across the world, across the globe, and still building. And then a fear of the unknown, you've overcome that. You've been talking to yourself and having those hard conversations. So I think that no matter what, as long as you can remember that everybody has a little bit of fear, everybody's got that gut check moment on whether or not they're good enough, whether or not they're going to fail, whether or not they're going to succeed. I think if you can have that conversation, you'll be better off. But one of the things I love touching on, and you're a great example of this, Johnny, we're in a community. There are so many people here that will support you. You can reach through and talk to the community. We can share stories and challenges and obstacles and successes as we're making them happen. And Johnny, you're doing that right now with us, right? You're sharing these moments with us. And so many of the community members are here listening now and are going to listen to this later. And your contribution is going so much further than you know. So I want to appreciate you for that. And, you know, I feel like you have certainly validated success in our eyes, right? And I don't know what's on the docket for you. What's the next big wave for Johnny? Where's it headed?
Well, thanks. I think, you know, right now, one thing I do, and I haven't, and I will, you know, confess, I think I've been kind of, you know, in the moment that I haven't been promoting as much as I should have. My scholarship, which is the hashtag 90day-to-1K scholarship. It's on my website. It's explained on my website. But in short, I started this campaign at the end of 2021, the last 3 months, to really build my presence on social and do it in an organic way. And the motivation behind it was, instead of dedicating dollars to sponsored ads and things like that, which I'm not knocking or, you know, criticizing, I thought better, why not allocate that money to somebody who could get a free education and start a career, right, as a professional medical interpreter, and pay their way to my course, my 40-hour medical interpreter training course. So we launched that scholarship, despite the fact that we haven't yet reached our goal. We're going to get it soon. I'm close to the target of 1,000 on my company LinkedIn page. Maybe you all help me bridge that gap. But regardless, I decided rather, that I wanted to still move forward with the scholarship. So if you know anybody who is bilingual and they're fluent, or any organizations, I'm connected with the Spring Institute in Colorado, which is where my business is established. And they're a nonprofit. They've been around 40 years. And I continue to partner with them. But if you're an organization like them that are connected to the refugee or immigrant community, my desire is really to have a deserving individual that would not have a means to attend my course. And so you can apply on my website. There's questions set and all of that. We'll be sharing that on social once that person is selected. But I want to do more of that. I don't want it to be the only scholarship. I want it to be the first of many. The other thing I think that I have in store is, you know, we'll be continuing our reach with this program, which is Bridging the Gap, which is through the cross-cultural healthcare program in Seattle, Washington, an organization that really are the pioneers as it pertains to setting the standard for being a professional medical interpreter. And a lot of the organizations that, I'll use a lot of acronyms here, so I'm going to put a disclaimer out, the IMIA and these organizations that NCIHC that really have put together the 7 core values of the Code of Ethics to become a nationally, and now you can become nationally certified through organizations like, more acronyms, sorry, NBCMI or CCHI, that, they are an organization that I work with, and there are programs that I will be not just licensed as I am today in Colorado, Texas, and Pennsylvania, but soon to be, I would say the next 3 months, I will be licensed in an additional 11 states or 14 states total. So that's huge for me. The other thing is soon to be announced. I just partnered and signed with as a preferred vendor for the largest workers' compensation company in Colorado. And that's soon to be publicized. I'll let them start and then I'll piggyback off that. And that's a really big opportunity to, again, employ more people that are going to be able to work, not just in Colorado, but nationally as well through video remote interpreting or phone interpreting. So I think those areas really, not just being an agency for language access, which I've been for the most part over the last 4.5 years, but where I see things going is really being a learning center. We do, again, GED tutoring, and now with the expansion into 14 states with professional medical interpreting, again, just leaning into it because I love it so much. We'll be having trainers across the country that are going to provide this opportunity for people to really build a successful career as a professional interpreter. And just to give you an idea, talking about cost of living, just for, I know those listening and watching, well, how much money can you make? I'm really proud to say that, again, every state's different, but generally speaking, the starting point is $25 an hour. And depending on your level of, credentialing, if you get to a hub CMI, which is passing the national written exam for your national certification, and become fully certified, you can make anywhere from $32 to $35 an hour on average as a Spanish interpreter, okay? And then if you have a non or less common language, which I also specialize in, I have Myanmar Hakachin, Nepali, you name it, those can make anywhere from $40 an hour as an independent interpreter. So we're not talking about a career that you're going to be hurting. It's a very, satisfying, and it's a very fair wage, so that even if you work independently, you can make a living. And so that's something that I'm very proud of as well.
You got a lot going on. I'm excited for you. Number one, you lead with your heart. You have a big heart, Johnny. I love that you're still giving out the scholarship and still wanting to promote that. And kudos to you for wanting to promote that more, right? I know you've been pushing that out while trying to expand into these new states and work with these alignment partners to really challenge the business to grow. So give yourself some grace there. Obviously, things are going to continue to lead forward, and there's emotional complexity in medical interpretation, right? It's not like we can just type it into Google and get the exact translation without it falling flat or hurting somebody or hurting the relationship. You want to arrive with some care and consideration. These people are going through what usually is not a good situation, right? Most people don't go to the hospital with solutions. They go there with problems, looking for solutions, and even resources. And I'm glad that you're expanding and offering this ability to grow. And I love that you're aligning that with challenging yourself to offer more opportunities and new scholarships to those that are looking to level up in life, right? Find that living wage, find that opportunity where they can have a great lifestyle, and they can challenge themselves to lead with an emotional balance and connection and do something that they love. So Johnny, thanks so much. I love this recap. I think it's going well for you. I appreciate you for taking your time in the evening over there in Portugal. As you know, we like to open it up to community members, right? I've kind of asked all my questions. You have shared so much with us today. There's so much content and context here that we can all take from this. So I want to open it up. Anybody in the community that is here with us, if there's any comments, kudos, or questions, let's go. Let's talk.
Sounds good.
I just want to acknowledge you for, seeing your vision play out. That's incredible work that you're doing, and then providing opportunities for others. And, it's not about you, it's about the whole community that needs this source of information, and you're providing an opportunity for people to make a living and just be able to participate in the environment in which they want to be involved in. So it's just a beautiful story.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, Johnny, I was going to jump in and just say, I really loved your comment about actually talking to people versus texting and all of the other things that we do. I think it's wonderful that we have these avenues now of quick conversations, right? But I think that we do miss a lot of that relationship building opportunity when we actually don't talk to people. And so businesses who, like you, who are spending time actually having those kind of conversations, I think will ultimately win over other businesses that are what I consider almost shortcutting with conversation through just online or email or that type of thing. So it takes more time, certainly, but it's the brand win and the win for you as a person. So kudos to you for that.
Thanks, Rachel. Appreciate it.
I always appreciate getting an update from you, Johnny, and it's so nice to hear about the progress that you're making while you're over there. And what I so much of what you said today stuck with me, but the thing that I've been thinking about throughout this discussion was how, when you were asked how you measure success, you didn't limit yourself to just business goals. You didn't limit yourself to just achieve it, which is, obviously you want to have business goals to grow your business, but what a relief to give yourself other objectives to work on during that time. Like to say, I may not have achieved this benchmark that I set for myself, but I'm fluent in Portuguese now. That is going to set myself up for a lot more success in the future than, I might not have many more months like this or many more measurable timeframes like this because my language skills have gotten so much better. Or, even something smaller for, I'm thinking someone who may, maybe on a much earlier stage of their journey with just, am I speaking up for myself more, in a measurable way? If I was afraid to do cold calls or outreach or, join a community event, something like this, if you were just, I was shy or that was not something I was used to be able to set a goal like that in tandem with your business goals, I feel like must be such an enriching way to go about growing. And it was very encouraging to hear that, because I feel like that kind of mindset can be implemented in so many parts of your life, whether you're trying to grow a business or whatever your sort of goal is for that moment, and whatever your North Star is, to give yourself some grace and make sure that you're like, okay, this isn't going to be the only thing that I reward myself for, because I'm going to learn a lot along the way. I think that was really, really remarkable. And I'm certainly going to take that away from this. And I can imagine that a lot of others will as well. So that was great. And I can't wait to hear about the continued growth. In your next presentation, we'll have to be entirely in Portuguese. None of us will understand a word you're saying, but we'll know that you've mastered the language.
Muito bem. Thank you, Jonathan.
Johnny, congratulations on all the success to date and all the future success that we all know is coming your way. First, a comment and then a question. The comment is, it's easy to celebrate the successes and throw out, those words of support and affirmation and congratulations. I just want to congratulate you for the perseverance and all the hard work that I know has gone on behind the scenes. Everyone wants to see the movie. Not too many people want to take the time to see the making of, and I can imagine the sacrifice, the blood, sweat, and tears and all that has gone into it. So from a fellow entrepreneur, I just want to commend you on that. Massive props to you. Way to represent, stay strong, and lean on those who support you. Now to the question. It seems like you are a sole proprietor with great vision, tremendous talent, great work ethic. In order to scale, you need a team around you. How did you go about getting that support, and what was your process of team recruitment throughout the scaling process?
It's a great question. Thank you also, Chris, for the encouragement. I think building a team, goes to relationship building for sure. And I think for me, when I hire, and, I always base it off of, really simply put, a high ethical standard. I can teach pretty much anyone to do what I need them to do. That I enjoy teaching. I cannot teach you to have a high ethical standard if you don't agree with that. In other words, doing what's right, even if it costs me money. That's why I tell my people, I don't care if I lose money if it means that you did the right thing. I'll always 100% back you up on that. And to be able to have full trust where I literally don't have to be like looking over anyone's shoulder or concerned about who's in the field and what are they doing. To me, that is priceless. So I think the way I built my team is surrounding myself with individuals that I look up to. One of the other projects that I'm involved with that has been over the past 6 months, as if I didn't already get involved with enough, is the J3 collaboration project. And that project is a specific project that goes in line with your question. I have individuals like Jack Wilson, who is a very successful entrepreneur in his own right, and Jennifer Calendar. And really what the J3 stands for is all three of us, you know, Johnny, Jack, and Jennifer, and really specific to diversity and inclusion, and really targeting the minority communities that we're a part of. In my case, Hispanic Latino, and with Jennifer and Jack, the African-American community. And so having individuals that I look at as mentors for me, and to be able to work with them, that I've been doing that, you know, Jack and I go back many years. I think having a trusted network of individuals that are doing what you want to accomplish is huge. A lot of times, and I'm sure you've all experienced this, when you talk to individuals that either haven't attempted to start a business, don't have that mindset, and you're asking them for, you know, guidance, don't be surprised when they're discouraging you, because they haven't really felt the pain or gone through those ups and downs, and they don't want to either. So you really need to ask individuals that have reached somewhat of where you want to go, and be willing to feel some pain, because I think you said it best, Chris, you know, there is so much behind the scenes that, you know, one of the things I remember when I first started my business is the 3 pillars of success, I think Elon Musk mentioned. And the one that I remember is pain. That was one of the 3 pillars that Elon Musk mentioned. And it's very true. And if you don't have passion for what you're doing, and you don't have a trusted team, and I think talent acquisition, my heart goes out to those that are full-time talent acquisition professionals, because I think that is a very integral part of building a successful business. And I've been very meticulous. I hire everyone directly. I do not delegate that. Personally, that's my opinion. If I'm going to put my name behind it, I have to know the person. We have to have a conversation. You have to tell me what you're all about. And if I don't connect with you, and I'll say this with all honesty, I've had friends that I haven't hired just because I know from a business standpoint, let's just keep it on a friend level, okay? We're just not gonna do business, okay? I love you, but we're not gonna do business together. And I think that's a reality. That's a conversation, right? That's one of those conversations that's hard to have, but you gotta have it. And if you're trying to please people because you feel like, oh, it's a friend or this and that, you have to be able to separate that and delineate what is one from the other. And I think that really has helped me continue my success, continue to scale, because when you hire really good people that are trustworthy, guess what? They know really good people that are trustworthy too. So it kind of just builds upon itself. That was a long-winded answer, but hopefully that makes sense.
Thank you so much. And with that friend level setup, I was in Portugal in 2019 and plan to resume my annual European summer tours in August. So we might have to make that walk to town together.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Reach out to me.
Yes, I just want to thank you, first of all, for sharing all of your experiences and struggles and what works and what doesn't work. And I really like all of that, having dialogue with people and really speaking with people. I can only second that. For a long time, I just didn't do that. I actually had stage fright all my life, and I overcame that. Just challenging myself, like you said, when you have a challenge, you just need to make up your mind, and you need to make a plan and go through. Otherwise, it's never going to go away. As I started having conversations with more people face to face, or at least on Zoom, really all over the world, I challenged myself. I'm going to do this once a week. I'm going to take a morning, and I'm going to meet with people. I'm going to do some networking one-on-one, very personal. And I really started seeing some success that way. It just really works. people want to have that connection. People really want to get to know people on a personal level. And I think it's just great to do that. And yeah, it just works. I started seeing clients when I didn't see clients before.
Excellent. No, that's awesome. And thank you for sharing that with us. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And I speak German fluently.
Very nice. Excellent. I actually flew in through Frankfurt, and some of the best food I had, as far as, at the airport there in Frankfurt, was phenomenal. Specifically the eggs, pretzels for sure, right? And then the sausages. So that was actually a very nice experience. But hopefully I go back there to actually travel in Germany. That'd be my next little, list of things to do for sure, besides eating. Actually,
if you ever need any tips, please let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see Tina, yeah, for sure. There was plenty of beer there too. good beer.
Yeah, this has been great. Great comments, great questions. I love the finale we've really brought to this recap and this meetup with you, Johnny. And one of the words I heard spoken during the community comments was enriching, right? Jonathan mentioned that. This has been an enriching moment. Everything that you've been doing in your business has been leading with enriching the lives of yourself and those around you and others. And I love that. And I think the community can grow from the experience that you shared with us today. And I have to give you kudos for saying I can teach people to do what I need them to do, but it's more than that. I want to trust them and grow with them. I think that is a fantastic place to be. And I will guarantee that if you continue that trajectory, life is only going to get better. And what Rachel mentioned earlier was relationships lead to longevity, right? And that's how business survives. And longevity leads to availability for more opportunity. So as long as we're enriching the lives of others and we're allowing ourselves to build relationships and build that longevity, the waves are going to come. You're going to be able to ride the waves, right? Success is going to be available. If you want to, you can move across the globe. You can still run your business. Things are possible. Allow yourself to dream. Allow yourself to wake up to that dream, right? Set that deadline, make it happen. I love all the conversation we've had today. I do have an ask for the community members that are here. Johnny, I want you to post your 90 days to 1K scholarship again. And I want everybody that's on this call, if you can, just go share it. Just share it. Yeah, it's a ripple effect. That's the community, right? And obviously connect with Johnny, follow the journey. I knew you were expanding because I think you announced that last time when we did our check-ins. But this is how we grow together, right? The moments that matter, we challenge ourselves to be a little bit more connected, a little bit more involved. And if we can, if there's a simple task like sharing, that empowers us, it empowers you, and it helps the entire community rise. So Johnny, thanks so much for your story today. And thank you to the community members that are here for all the comments, the kudos, the questions, and just being committed to be here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to pull this up right now. Give me a second. I should have been ready for it. I got so involved in the conversation, but I'll give you the link right here. It is. Let me copy and paste it. I thank you all for the time as well. It was a pleasure as always, being able to share this time. And it is not lost on me, the blessing of being able to be part of the community like this, because, it's such a value. And so here's the link. There we go. And it takes you right to the explanation, the application. But thank you so much for all the support. It's awesome being part of the community. I look forward to sharing updates and some things that are going on as they develop and some announcements. But I really appreciate the time. Adam, you're always great as a moderator and all your questions. I appreciate you.
It's just easy when we've got good guests. So I appreciate you too. And everybody else, have a great weekend. Thank you so much. And definitely let's tune in next week for Chris. We're going to be talking from the Startup Hustle. So I appreciate you guys. Be safe out there and let's catch up with the community.